Hi, Senator or Congressman McEwan. Just wanted to say thank you for coming, and here's my question. You spoke last night of the deficit and how Ronald Reagan changed the deficit. What will the money that we're giving out now to the banks and also the stimulus packages for the taxpayers, what do we need to do to make the right change to turn the deficit around, and how can this happen with this administration?
You just closed the door on that, didn't you? When people apocalyptically claim that this is going to destroy, after a while, it's like Chicken Little, you start to not believe it after a while. But I am very fearful that what we're doing is just extremely, extremely serious, and here's the reason for it. National debt, deficits, spending more than you have. The European Union has had as their goal a 3% of GDP. That is, debt only matters on how much money you're making. You know, if your son has a $30,000 debt and he doesn't have a job, that's pretty serious. But if you're making $100,000 a year and you have a $30,000 mortgage, that's a whole different ballgame. So the money it's in percentage to your income. So the gross domestic product is how much is produced during the year. And in the European Parliament, they have had as their goal for quite some time to have a 3% deficit. And most of them have been 4% and 5%, and they've been really struggling. And because they've all joined together, it gives the local prime ministers more authority to try to control the spending to keep the deficit down. In America, our deficit has been 2.5%, so the American dollar was always stronger than what they could do, and they could always sit around and whine and complain, but we were always much more responsible than they were. And of course, when we had the control of the Congress in the 1990s, you know, we even balanced the budget. Already, thus far this year, the deficit for this year will be 8% of gross domestic product. Never in my lifetime has it been that, and we're only a month into it. This can be very serious. This can be very serious. There seems to be just an unwillingness to be rational. And when you say, is this, you say, well, somebody's got to do something. I mean, it's like somebody coming in spilling paint all over the stove, and you say, well, aren't you hungry? And we got to do something. No. Doing something, this is not helping us get there. So we've made a choice for change, and we're changing. And so what we have to do is, is be cautious. I am concerned. I will tell you that. I'm not a person that shares fear, but I'm very concerned that this is dangerous. The world is relying upon us. See, the people, the Fannie Mae, the mortgages, the home mortgages that were so trustworthy and reliable, and until we had people that were not responsible running it, 20% of the national debt, 20% of the reserve currency of the nation of China was in these American instruments because it was as good as gold. Yep. I mean, it's as good as it gets. And then we find out that the people that were running Fannie Mae were sticking a lot of sand in there, and now people have begun to lose faith. That gets back to what I said about integrity. See, you have to have integrity because America stood for integrity. And if you took the Federal National Mortgage Association with a government guarantee, if you held that, that was as good as gold. And so if you're an insurance company in Europe, or if you're a nation, if you wanted to buy a Fannie Mae, sold something, let me have that. That's as good as it gets. You can open it up and it'll say 123 Maple Street, Des Moines, Iowa, brother, Mr. and Mrs. Jones. That's what I want. And then we found out that under the leadership of the folks that have been running it for the last 8 or 10 years, that they were playing games, and now people have begun to run, and we're paying a price for it. Why? Because of a lack of integrity, of a choice that we chose in the 1990s, and that president appointed these people, and now we're paying for it.
Excellent.
Congressman, two general questions, please. The first question about the media. We know the media has an agenda and has a huge impact on people's life, and I think they're just brainwashing everybody's lives. So how can we defeat and diffuse the media, the liberal media? That's number one, sort of how as a church and conservatives we can diffuse the media. Number two, can you just speak briefly about the fairness doctrine, if it's coming back?
About the what?
The fairness doctrine.
The fairness doctrine. Okay. Let me just quickly do this. All wealth is generated by three people: a saver, an investor or entrepreneur, and a producer. That would be a farmer or somebody who goes to work every day for a living. Everything comes from them. And so therefore, an entrepreneur says, I want to make a shopping center that will provide 500 jobs. In order to do that, I need $5 million. And these people are rewarded under the free enterprise system for the degree to which they bless other people. And so they wake up ways and try to figure out ways to do good things for people. Now, government doesn't have to do that. But in free enterprise, if I give you a cold cup of coffee, then I come back the next day, the place is boarded up. And so people lay awake nights figuring out ways, how can I bless this person? How can I do something more? Because under a free enterprise system, people have to willfully reach in their pocket and give you money only because you've done something for them that was more blessed, was a greater blessing than the money in their pocket. I'll wash your car, I'll mow your lawn, I'll do something, And so therefore, there's constant, that's why I said last night about inventions. That's why inventions only come from free countries. Governments can't invent anything. I mean, they can't even run a two-car funeral. They get under free enterprise. Under free enterprise, you think these things up. And these people are rewarded in direct proportion to their contribution to others. The greater the contribution, the greater the reward. You give them 5 cups of coffee, you get 1 reward. You give 50 cups of coffee, you get 5,000. You give 50,000 cups of coffee, the greater the contribution, the greater the reward. So you can see how much these people have performed by their reward. Now, some people hate that. These people are rewarded not because of who they are. They don't care what color, what gender, what nationality. They just care about what they did. You don't care if a software works. You don't care if it was done by an Indian, if it was done by a female, if it was done by an Asian. You don't care about it. You care about, does it work? So these people are rewarded under free enterprise by the degree to which they bless other people. They're rewarded by what they do for others. That drives some people crazy. They hate it. Because they want to be rewarded not because of what they've done, but because of who they are. I'm entitled to it because of who I am. And there's 5 places that they go. One of them is government. And so you have this dream. You're going to invent this product. You've gotten people to trust you and invest with you in order to put these people to work to create something. And now you go to this little guy who's sitting there and he says, well, I think in the middle of that parking lot you need a duck pond and it needs to be this size and this side. And he said, but if you do that, then there's no place to park and I can the whole thing. I don't care. He has power not because of what he's done for people, but because of who he is. There are other people. Another place that they go is education. And they want to be rewarded not because of what they've been able to teach the kids or what they've been able to learn, but because I have 3 PhDs, therefore you should care for me because of who I am. And they sit there with their turtleneck and their goatee and their pipe, and they say, if the world were just half as smart as I am. And another place that they go is religion. Religion, in which, as I said last night, organized religion, in which they want to be rewarded not because of what they've done, but because of who they are. And they want to sit there and lecture folks. And that's why you want to go to a Bible-believing church and say, how do you know what a Bible-believing church is? And I say this. I say, go on Christmas Sunday. And on Christmas Sunday, if the pastor attacks the people for their failure to elect a government to do what Christ called the church to do, you got a modernist preacher in church. Because God never called the government to do things. He called you and me. So a person who preaches the Bible, they wouldn't fit into this category. But much of organized religion is there. Another place they go is the arts. And that is, a person who produces something, who writes music that people want, or makes paintings that people want to buy, that's fine. But there's a whole lot of people say, no. If this country really cared about the arts the way that it should, I should be able to sit up here on my balcony in Soho and let these folks go out there and work every day, and the taxes should take care of me, not because of what I've done, but because of who I am.